Sume, you either complete this mission, or you'll be growing herbs in the back mountain. Master's words still echoed in my ears as I packed my belongings with a bitter expression. The Wuyou Mountain Villa was renowned throughout the martial arts world for its medical expertise, particularly in crafting antidotes. But I, the senior disciple, was the worst in a century. It wasn't for lack of trying. Over the years, I had memorized the complete compendium of Materia Medica and studied countless antidote formulas. Yet every time I prepared medicines, I would fumble either using wrong ingredients or failing to control the heat properly. Not to mention how my hands would shake too much to even take a proper pulse during examinations. Sister, take this with you. My junior sister pressed a packet of antidote pills into my hands. You're so clumsy, what if you accidentally poison yourself? I accepted them, feeling a twinge in my heart. These were our villa's treasured possession, said to counter 100 poisons. Yet I couldn't even make these properly, my attempts were either too weak or too bitter. A healer must have compassion and save lives, that's the principle of our Wuyou Mountain Villa. Master's teachings echoed again. Yet now, he was sending me to kill someone. The target was Lu Mingyuan, the eldest son of the wealthiest family in the capital. Apparently, the young Master Shen, son of a tea merchant, had put out a contract worth 500 taels of silver for his life. To be completed within 7 days. 500 taels, nearly equivalent to our sect's annual medicine expenses. Oh, Sume, how did you, a healer, end up becoming an assassin? I sighed, taking another look at the portrait. The man in the painting had refined features and a gentle expression. He didn't look like a bad person at all. Wait, was I feeling sympathy for my target? My junior sister was right, I was too soft-hearted. I couldn't even bear to step on an ant, how could I possibly be an assassin? That's precisely why. Master's words from last night came back to me. Because your medical skills are lacking, no one would suspect you. Besides, you've learned about medicine since childhood, so you understand the properties of herbs. Consider this mission as a learning experience. Learning experience? I pulled out the poison Master had given me. How ironic, while I hadn't mastered making antidotes, I had memorized the properties of every poison by heart. But what good was memorization when I fumbled everything in practice? I sighed and finished packing. Besides changes of clothes, I carried only a few packets of antidote pills and that package of poison. My junior sister said someone like me was perfect for assassination because who would suspect a bumbling fool who couldn't even mix medicines properly to be an assassin? Just before dawn, I set out. Along the way, I reviewed the mission details once more. Lu Mingyuan, eldest son of the Lu family, managed their tea business. Recently, his business had been flourishing, allegedly angering the Shen family of tea merchants, hence the contract on his life. Come forth. I tried mimicking the tone of Jianghu assassins. State your name, so you'll know who sent you to your death. Then I burst out laughing at myself. Never mind, I'd pose as a flower seller instead. The spring marketplace was bustling with activity. The Lu family's tea house, Mingyuan Tea House, stood at the busiest corner. The couplet beside the entrance read, "Clear minds discover truth through tea. Distant mountains and flowing waters flavor life." The calligraphy was powerful, clearly written by a master's hand. Taking a deep breath, I checked my flower basket. Among the spring orchids lay my specially prepared poison. This was the one thing I could actually do well, though I couldn't make proper medicine. At least I knew which combinations of herbs were most lethal. The plan was simple: pose as a flower seller, poison his tea, then flee. Would you like to buy some flowers, miss? The sudden voice made me jump. I turned and nearly crashed into the person behind me. Looking up, I froze. This man, why was he so much more handsome than his portrait? Wait, something wasn't right. Shouldn't he be inside? Why was he out here talking to me? And he was dressed so simply. If it weren't for those gentle, jade-like eyes, I wouldn't have recognized him at all. I'm here to sell flowers, I stammered. My junior sister was right, I really wasn't cut out to be an assassin. I couldn't even speak properly. Oh? He smiled, his eyes curving like crescent moons. I noticed you hovering by the entrance for quite a while. I thought you wanted to buy flowers, not sell them. Oh no, so he'd noticed me already. I wiped my sweaty palms on my clothes and tried to sound calm. Yes, well, I was trying to work up the courage to come in and sell them. He examined my basket carefully. These are spring orchids? They're quite beautiful. I was startled. I'd chosen these specifically, having heard they were his favorite. What a coincidence, our tea house could use some decoration, he said, taking the basket and admiring the flowers. How about this? If you don't mind, you could stay and help arrange the flowers. We just received a batch of pre-rain tea, and I'd love to have you sample it. What kind of plot twist was this? I wanted to refuse, but then thought, wouldn't this be the perfect opportunity to complete my mission? That's very kind of you, I answered, keeping my head down as I followed him into the tea house, my heart pounding. Master had said the worst mistake when poisoning someone was to let your nerves show. But right now, even my hands were shaking. The interior of the tea house was even more elegant than its exterior. Wooden shelves lined with tea canisters of all kinds created a sophisticated display. In the courtyard, several plum trees stood with their branches artfully trimmed, though not yet in bloom. Please, sit. He gestured to a window seat. Sunlight filtered through the latticed windows, casting delicate shadows on the table. In such a peaceful setting, did murder really need to happen? While I was lost in thought, he had already started brewing tea. Every movement was flowing and natural, clearly showing years of expertise. I watched, mesmerized, almost forgetting why I was here. This is this year's pre-rain dragon well tea, he said, offering me a cup. Smelling the tea's fragrance, I suddenly remembered Master's words, a physician's use of medicine depends on timing. The same applies to poison, you must watch for the right moment. While he was busy greeting other customers, I secretly reached for the poison packet in my sleeve. Please enjoy, young master, I pushed the poison tea toward him, my heart thundering. He lifted the cup and took a sip, raising an eyebrow. How fragrant. This tea, there's something special about it. I nervously clutched my clothes. No, had he noticed? Ah yes, there's a subtle sweetness to it. Did you add something? No, nothing at all. I waved my hands frantically, then suddenly remembered something and quickly searched through my belongings. Sure enough, the poison packet was still there, untouched. But the packet of antidote pills was missing. Had I just given him antidote pills instead of poison? Miss Sue, are you all right? You look unwell. No. I'm fine. I wanted to cry. First day on the job, and I'd already wasted my junior sister's precious antidote pills. If she ever found out, she'd laugh herself to death. By the way, I haven't asked your full name yet. I'm Sue May. I answered distractedly, my mind still racing about how to fix my blunder. Sue May, a beautiful name, he smiled gently. I am Lu Mingyuan. Since we don't have many customers at this hour, would you like to see our new flower vases? Before I could answer, he was already walking toward the inner courtyard. In the sunlight, his tall figure moved with natural grace, each step measured and unhurried, his whole being radiating a jade-like warmth. Did someone like this really deserve to die? I shook my head and followed him, only to trip over the doorway threshold. He quickly caught me, his palm warm against my arm. Careful there, he said softly, his eyes twinkling with amusement. I nodded, my face burning red. This was hopeless. I must be the worst assassin in the martial arts world. Not only had I failed to kill my target, but I was actually feeling sympathetic toward him. If word of this got back to Wuyou Mountain Villa, I couldn't imagine how much my junior sisters would tease me. By evening, I left carrying a flower vase he had given me. On the way back, I tried to rally my spirits. It's fine, there's still time. I'll try again tomorrow. Little did I know, this would be the beginning of a destined entanglement. Back in my lodgings, I examined the celadon vase. This man was truly puzzling. Had he really not noticed my intentions, or? Never mind. I touched the poison hidden in my sleeve, suddenly feeling uncertain. As a disciple of Wuyou Mountain Villa, I had managed to serve our sect's precious antidote as tea on my very first mission. Once the story got out, I'd never hear the end of it. Never mind. I touched the poison hidden in my sleeve, suddenly feeling uncertain. As a disciple of Wuyou Mountain Villa, I had managed to serve our sect's precious antidote as tea on my very first mission. Once the story got out, I'd never hear the end of it. Before dawn the next day, rustling sounds could be heard outside the Mingyuan tea house. Oh no! A soft cry was followed by the sound of a teacup falling. I frantically caught it, sighing in relief. At least the cup hadn't broken, or I'd have to spend another month's wages on replacements. This was my 17th attempt at brewing tea. Since accidentally serving Lu Mingyuan antidote pills as tea, I determined to master the art of tea brewing. After all, how could I poison someone if I couldn't even brew tea properly? Master always said, a physician's use of medicine requires perfect balance. Too strong will harm, too weak will fail to cure. I supposed the same principle applied to tea brewing. The temperature still isn't right. I took a sip from the cup, my brows furrowing into a knot. Is anyone there? Suddenly, an elderly voice called from outside. I startled, spilling tea all over my clothes. Coming. I hurriedly opened the door to find an elderly man with white hair. Opening so early? The old man studied me. I was practicing tea brewing, I replied sheepishly, tugging at my hair. Sir, you are? This old one is surnamed Lin, I live nearby, the old man smiled kindly. I always enjoy a cup of tea at dawn, and seeing the lights on, I thought I'd stop by. But my tea isn't very good yet. No matter, let me try it. I nervously brewed a fresh pot. This was my 18th attempt this morning at finding the right balance of water temperature and tea leaves. Who knew if it would be any good? The old man accepted the cup and took a small sip, raising his eyebrows. Excellent tea. What? I was stunned. But I thought it tasted strange. Child, do you know why this tea is good? Old man Lin set down his cup. Though it may lack complexity, it carries a pure tea fragrance, unpretentious and natural, like mountain spring water, sweet and genuine. I listened in confusion, but Master said tea brewing requires precise timing. Ha ha, the old man laughed, the way of tea isn't about technique, but about state of mind. Your tea, though technically unrefined, is made with sincere heart, and that gives it true charm. Just then, footsteps sounded in the courtyard. Elder Lin, what brings you here? I turned to see Lu Mingyuan. He wore a blue-green robe, looking composed as ever, as if having early guests was perfectly normal. I came to taste your tea, Elder Lin gestured toward me. This young lady's brewing has quite an interesting character. Lu Mingyuan glanced at me, his gaze carrying a hint of curiosity. Miss Su, you're here so early? I lowered my head, feeling my face warm. I came to practice tea brewing. How long have you been practicing? Since the first watch of dawn, I said quietly. In truth, I hadn't left since the night before, but I dared not mention that. Why? He asked softly. I froze. Yes, why indeed? I was here to kill him, so why was I so dedicated to learning tea brewing? Because I'm clumsy at everything, I bit my lip. Master always said, the slow bird must start flying early. Since I'm slower than others, I need to work harder. As soon as the words left my mouth, I regretted them. What kind of assassin would say such things? But Lu Mingyuan smiled, his eyes holding an emotion I couldn't quite read. I see. However. However what? However, what does this say about me as the tea house owner? He walked to my side, gently lifting the teapot. Let me taste your tea as well? No, no need. I hastily backed away. I'm not very good yet. Elder Lin praised it, so it must be worthy. Watching him drink my tea, I was so nervous my palms were sweating. This was the tea I'd practiced making all night. He set down the cup, his gaze softening as he looked at me. Indeed, it is good tea. Really? I asked excitedly, then caught myself, but the flavor clearly. Tea reflects its maker, he said suddenly. Some pursue perfect technique, but lose their true nature. Others, though unskilled, capture the essence through their pure hearts. I nodded vaguely, not quite understanding. Then I saw him pull something from his sleeve. This is for you. What? A change of clothes. He pointed at my tea-stained garments. Be more careful when practicing. I looked down and finally noticed I was covered in tea stains, immediately flushing red with embarrassment. I'm so sorry. No matter. He turned to leave, his figure straight and dignified. Oh, and if you come to practice tomorrow, remember to bring a spare set of clothes. Watching his retreating back, I found myself lost in thought. How could someone this kind-hearted be my target? No, no. I shook my head vigorously. The mission came first. I couldn't waver. Child, Elder Lin's voice broke through my thoughts. Come, brew another cup for this old one. I nodded, returning to my practice. Even if my technique was clumsy, I would take each attempt seriously. Whether it was for completing the mission, or for... Wait, what was I thinking? As daylight grew stronger, I sat in the courtyard writing a letter to Master. Honored Master, your disciple is carefully observing the target. This Lu Mingyuan is cautious by nature. Though he keeps no guards, he maintains a careful distance in all interactions, making it difficult to get close. Your disciple has decided to continue using tea brewing as a pretext to approach him, waiting for him to lower his guard. After finishing, I nodded with satisfaction. Yes, this was right. Since I'd chosen to be an assassin, I should do it properly. Master always said, whatever you do, do it with full dedication, without divided loyalties. As for other thoughts, better not to think too much about them. Water temperature just right, tea leaves properly proportioned. I muttered, recording the morning's insights in my little notebook. This was my 32nd attempt. After these days of practice, I'd finally grasped some principles. Add tea when the water is 8/10 hot, measure leaves according to their quality. Though still far from Lu Mingyuan's skill, at least I wouldn't mistake other substances for tea ingredients anymore. Speaking of mistakes, I glanced furtively at Lu Mingyuan, who was trimming plum branches in the courtyard. He had never mentioned the antidote pill incident again. This man was truly unfathomable. Miss, the usual please, Elder Lin's voice interrupted my thoughts. I hurriedly prepared the tea implements. For the past fortnight, Elder Lin had come every dawn for tea. Initially, I was honored by his attention, only to later discover he was Lu Mingyuan's teacher. Today's tea. Elder Lin had barely lifted the cup when his expression suddenly changed. Elder Lin? I looked at him questioningly. It's nothing. He said, rubbing his chest, his voice trembling. Something was wrong. I grabbed his wrist, discovering his forehead was beaded with cold sweat and his pulse was thin and rapid. Angina? Elder Lin, hold on. I forgot all pretense, rummaging through my bag for a small packet. It contained leftover powder from my failed medicine-making attempts. The potency wasn't strong, but it should help temporarily. Afyu. Quickly fetch a physician. I called out, then turned back to Elder Lin. Sir, please open your mouth. Elder Lin was in too much pain to speak, barely parting his lips. Just as I was about to administer the medicine, a hand stopped me. What is this? Lu Mingyuan had appeared beside us. Heart medicine. I stomped my foot in frustration. Please move aside. But he didn't budge, just staring intently at the powder in my hand. Trust me. I practically shouted. I'm from Wu. I know some medicine. This won't harm him. Perhaps it was the desperate sincerity in my eyes, but he released his grip. I quickly gave Elder Lin the medicine, then frantically searched for my acupuncture needles. Please help me support Elder Lin. While speaking, I located the acupoints. My hands were shaking, but my mind was surprisingly clear. Master had taught that for angina, first stimulate the inner pass point. SSSS, Elder Lin drew in a sharp breath. The pain means it's working, I explained while inserting needles. We're opening the meridians. Young Master Lu, please prepare some hot water. We'll need it for medicine later. He paused for a moment, but asked no questions before turning to prepare the water. After what seemed like an eternity, Elder Lin's complexion finally improved. I wiped the sweat from my brow, only now realizing how nervous I'd been. I'd been so focused on saving him that I hadn't noticed my palms were drenched with sweat. The physician is here. Afyu's voice called out. No need, Elder Lin waved his hand. Though his voice was weak, he could speak again. I'm fine now. The physician still checked his pulse carefully, then remarked admiringly, the needlework was very precise. I lowered my head. Precise, maybe, but too slow. If my junior sister had been here, she would have resolved this in the time it takes to burn an incense stick. I had taken half an hour. Miss Su, Elder Lin spoke slowly, I always thought you were just a tea-loving young lady. I didn't know you were also skilled in medicine. Not skilled, I stammered. Just, know a little. Where did you learn this? Lu Mingyuan suddenly asked. My father taught me, I improvised. He was a traveling physician. I see. He gave me a meaningful look. My heart skipped a beat. In my hurry to save Elder Lin, I'd almost revealed I was from Wuyou Mountain Villa. Thank goodness I caught myself in time, or wouldn't that have ruined everything? Miss Su, Elder Lin took my hand. If it weren't for you today, I might have. Please don't say that, I quickly withdrew my hand. It was my duty. Yes, it was my duty. I was, after all, the senior disciple of Wuyou Mountain Villa. Saving lives was our calling. But earlier, I thought ruefully, what a perfect opportunity that had been, yet why was my first instinct to save Elder Lin rather than worsen his condition? Then again, I reasoned, this might work out better. My medical background would help me get closer to Lu Mingyuan. Wouldn't that make my real task easier? I nodded to myself. Yes, that must be it. Everything I did was for the mission. You must be tired. A cup of tea appeared before me. I looked up to see Lu Mingyuan's gentle smile. It's nothing, I accepted the tea, but silently steeled myself, I mustn't be fooled by his kindness. I'm here to complete a mission, I absolutely cannot forget that. Sister, your tea brewing has really improved. I nearly dropped the teacup. That voice. I spun around to find a familiar round face looking at me. Little Seven? I stammered out the name of my most mischievous junior sister. How had she come here? Shoo, Little Seven made a silencing gesture, her large eyes darting about. Right now, I'm a young lady from a wealthy family, here to sample tea at the Mingyuan tea house. I managed a smile worse than crying. This girl had always loved play acting, dragging me into her schemes to fool Master. Unfortunately, my terrible acting always gave us away. What kind of tea would the young miss like? I tried to maintain composure. I've heard Miss Sue's tea brewing is exceptional, she said with mock formality. Perhaps Miss Sue could recommend something? I silently gritted my teeth. She was clearly mocking me. Everyone knew I was the clumsiest in our sect. As I wondered how to respond, Lu Mingyuan's voice suddenly rang out, Miss Sue, why not brew some osmanthus oolong? I froze. This was what he'd taught me a few days ago, saying its sweet, gentle flavor was perfect for young ladies. All right. I clumsily prepared the tea set, noticing from the corner of my eye that little Seven was studying Lu Mingyuan with great interest. This was bad. I hoped she wouldn't notice anything suspicious. Miss Sue, Lu Mingyuan's gentle voice reminded me, the water's boiling. Ah. I hurriedly reached for the kettle, only to burn my hands and flail. He swiftly caught the kettle, careful of the heat. Shall I do it? No. I snatched the kettle back. I'll do it myself. Curse it all, how embarrassing to be so clumsy in front of little Seven. I stole a glance at her. Sure enough, she was trying not to laugh. After finally managing to brew the tea, I breathed a sigh of relief, ready to escape. Miss Sue, please stay. Little Seven suddenly said. I have some questions about the tea ceremony. I froze in place. Oh no, she definitely had something to say. Sure enough, once Lu Mingyuan left, little Seven's expression changed instantly. Sister, what's going on? What do you mean? It's been half a month. She lowered her voice. Master sent me to check on your progress. You only have 5 days left until the deadline. My heart tightened. So soon? Indeed. She sighed. And also. She hesitated. And what? The villa is facing some troubles, she whispered. Medicine prices have skyrocketed, and we can't obtain many crucial herbs. This money. I understood then, the villa desperately needed these funds. Sister, if you really can't do it, why not let me? No. I refused without thinking. Realizing my reaction was too strong, I quickly explained, I've already found an opportunity. Really? She looked at me skeptically. But somehow I feel. Sister, what you're putting in the tea doesn't seem like poison, it seems more like. Like what? Like your heart. I froze. What nonsense are you talking about? Sister, do you know why he keeps letting you stay here? Little Seven continued, ignoring my flustered state. That day at the entrance, I saw everything clearly. You were fumbling with the tea, and he was watching from behind, worried you'd hurt yourself. That's because. And then there was that incident with Elder Lin, she continued. I heard how panicked you were. Yet he didn't find you troublesome, instead, he stayed by your side, supporting you. I opened my mouth but couldn't find words. Sister, little Seven suddenly turned serious. Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of that legend from our villa. What legend? You know, the story of the healer and the heartless man. Everyone knew that story. The most talented female disciple of Wuyou Mountain Villa fell in love with a heartless man. In the end, she gave up her chance for revenge, choosing instead to save him. From that day, a saying spread through the martial arts world, a healer's heart cannot harbor killing intent. I'm not like. I started to protest reflexively. Whether you are or not, sister knows in her heart. Little Seven stood up, pulling a small package from her sleeve. This is from Master, newly prepared medicine. This time, try not to mistake the antidote for poison. I accepted the package, my mind in turmoil. One more thing, she paused at the doorway, looking back. Remember, 5 days. Sister, do you understand my meaning? I clutched the package tightly and nodded. Watching little Seven's departing figure, I suddenly felt lost. Was she right? No, it couldn't be. I was the senior disciple of Wuyou Mountain Villa. How could I let romantic notions interfere with my duty? Miss Sue, the familiar gentle voice sounded behind me. I whirled around to see Lu Mingyuan approaching with a cup of tea. Sunlight filtered through the latticed windows, casting a warm glow on his jade-like features. Your sister?" he asked softly. No, just a customer." I hastily denied, "Just a regular customer." He smiled and didn't pursue the matter. "The weather's getting cooler. Have some warm tea." I looked down at my reflection in the teacup, feeling more confused than ever. Little Seven's words kept echoing in my mind. "Do you know why he keeps letting you stay here?" No, I couldn't think about this. I secretly pinched myself. Right now, completing the mission was most important. The villa's survival depended on it. As for other matters, I'd think about them after this was over. But after it was over, would I ever see him again? "The tea will get cold," his voice came again. I lifted the cup, surprised to find my hand steady. How strange, I usually fumbled everything in his presence, yet at this moment, I felt oddly calm. "Drink slowly," he said gently. "We have time." Time? I smiled bitterly to myself. If you knew my true identity, would you still say that? The 5-day deadline has arrived. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, clutching the poison in my hand. Today, it's the time. After Little Seven's visit, I'd spent each day steeling myself. The villain needed this money to save lives. This payment would determine the fate of countless patients. Just yesterday, I'd received a letter from Master saying medicine prices had soared even higher, and many crucial herbs were now unobtainable, while patients kept increasing. Past 5 days, I'd tried to act several times. The first attempt was during his afternoon nap. I'd approached his bed with poisoned tea, only to retreat at the sight of his peaceful sleeping face. His brows had been slightly furrowed then, as if troubled by something. The second time was during a tea tasting. The poison was in my sleeve. He'd been telling stories about learning tea as a child, about an old man who taught him not just about tea, but about life itself. As he spoke, his gaze grew distant, and I suddenly realized this seemingly gentle man carried his own secrets. The third attempt was yesterday, when I saw him reviewing account books in his study. I couldn't understand the numbers, but his furrowed brows told me something was wrong. Later I learned that not just medicine, but even premium tea prices were soaring, leaving many tea merchants struggling. "Strange," he murmured, "the source of these medicinal herbs." I was about to move closer when he suddenly closed the ledger and turned to me. "Miss Sue?" I brought tea." I hastily retreated, nearly spilling the cup. He smiled, just what I needed. But his smile didn't reach his eyes. What was this man investigating? Sister. Afu came running in panic, interrupting my memories. "The Shin family is here again." Again? I froze. The Shin family had been causing trouble these past few days, but Lu Mingyuan had handled each confrontation smoothly. During their disruptions, he always managed to defuse the situation with just a few words. That composure, it wasn't typical of a mere merchant. "This time it's different." Afu lowered his voice. "They brought many men, armed ones." And what? "And I saw several men dressed like martial artists." Afu nervously glanced around. "I've worked at the tea house for so long, but I've never seen the young master so tense. He had me hide all the account books from the storehouse." My heart tightened. By logic, this would be the perfect opportunity to strike during the chaos. But for some reason, my first thought was, where is young Master Lu? He said he went to check the tea gardens outside the city. What about Elder Lin? Elder Lin hasn't come today. Afu bit his lip. "Sister, something feels wrong. These past days, I've felt like someone's been watching our shop." The courtyard had erupted into chaos. Hiding behind a pillar, I watched as the Shin family's steward pointed at the tea house's sign, shouting, "We're giving you 3 days. Either close down, or..." Or what? A familiar voice suddenly cut in. I turned to see young Master Shin leaning against the back door, sneering, "Why make such a scene? We just wanted to teach him a lesson, what's all this fuss about?" Young Master? The steward clearly hadn't expected him. Idiots! Young Master Shin spat, "I told you to put on a show, who said to actually wreck the shop? If this gets out of hand, how will my father keep face in the capital?" I froze. What did he mean by put on a show? But young master, the steward said hesitantly, "Those people said." Whatever they said, we can't cause trouble right now. Young Master Shin cut him off impatiently. We still need him for the tea ceremony the day after tomorrow. Tea ceremony? I listened carefully. I'd heard about it, a grand tea ceremony where merchants from all over would attend. Lu Mingyuan, as one of the hosts, had been preparing for it. What about the assassin? Young Master Shin suddenly asked, wasn't there supposed to be an expert? Assassin? My heart skipped a beat. Young Master, it's been half a month, but still no. Useless. Young Master Shin kicked the doorframe furiously. 500 taels of silver wasted. Those people said it was guaranteed this time, but now. I leaned against the pillar, feeling a chill run through my body. So he never really wanted Lu Mingyuan dead? Then my past half month. Never mind, young Master Shin straightened his robes. Withdraw for now. I have other plans. Is everything prepared for the tea ceremony? Already, the steward lowered his voice. Those people said that during the ceremony. Silence. Young Master Shin hissed. You dare speak of such things openly? Yes. Let him enjoy his last few days of pride. Young Master Shin sneered. At the tea ceremony, he'll get what's coming to him. After they left, I remained frozen against the pillar, my mind reeling. What did this mean? Had I been used as a pawn? But Master wouldn't deceive me. Unless Master didn't know the truth either? Suddenly, all the recent changes at the villa made sense, skyrocketing medicine prices, crucial herbs becoming unavailable, yet more and more patients arriving. Everyone knew Wuyou Mountain Villa never turned away the sick. 500 taels, for our current situation, it truly was life-saving money. Could it be? Someone deliberately used this sum to lure us in? They must have known the villa needed money, so. No, now wasn't the time to think about this. What were they planning for the tea ceremony? Wouldn't that put Lu Mingyuan in danger? I was about to look for Afyu to gather information when I heard a slight sound behind me. Whirling around, I found Lu Mingyuan standing there, his expression unreadable. Young Master? I stammered. Weren't you at the tea gardens? Came back for something, he said quietly. It's over. Had he heard everything? My mind raced. Did he know my identity? Did he know I came to kill him? Should I explain or run? But he said nothing more, only asking, would you like to visit the tea gardens? Ah? The new tea is almost ready, he said softly. Didn't you always want to learn about tea recognition? I stared at him blankly. What did this mean? Had he really heard nothing? Or was he pretending not to know? We'll need the new tea for the ceremony, he continued. You should learn to recognize it first. The ceremony. I bit my lip. Do you really have to go? That, maybe. I stumbled over my words. Maybe you shouldn't. Why? I mean, the new tea isn't ready yet, perhaps next time. Miss Su, he suddenly stopped walking and turned to face me. Is there something you want to tell me? I froze. What did he mean by that? Was he testing me? How much did he know? No. I lowered my head. Nothing. He watched me silently for a moment, his gaze so deep it made my heart flutter. After a while, he turned and continued walking, very well. In the sunlight, his tall figure cast a long shadow, his steps measured and graceful as always. Could someone like this really be so unguarded? The secrets in those account books, his dealings with martial artists, his handling of the Shin family. "We're here," his voice broke through my thoughts. Looking up, I saw tender green buds glistening in the sunlight across the hillside. The spring breeze carried a subtle tea fragrance. "Remember this scent," he said. "This is dragon well tea at its finest moment before the rains." I nodded, but my mind was churning. What would happen at the tea ceremony? What were those martial artists planning? And what should I do? Watching him move gracefully among the tea plants, I realized for the first time that I might be caught up in something far bigger than I'd imagined.